Let's see if it works. Okay, we're live, I think. I think we're live. Let's get that up. All right, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. A little early than normal on a Sunday. Normally we do 2 p.m. When I'm not doing a show. I was a little iffy on whether or not I do this today because if I'd gotten rained out in Smithville, that would have been bad. So let me give you a little pregame since we got a little time before 2, before everybody goes, "Oh my God, he's doing a stream! I'm missing it." And today's theme, I was gonna do movies. There's kind of a lot of interesting news going on today, so I'm going to try to do a news blast. So right up front, let's be real here. I can't say certain things on YouTube, so some of the stuff I'm just going to have to gloss over. I'm going to have to say, you'll have to see my real opinion elsewhere. So got to be real careful on YouTube these days because I haven't done a political thing on YouTube for so long. For good reason. I just kept getting flagged and flagged and flagged. So I'm going to try my darndest. Now there are several topics I can't talk about. A certain election, a certain medical procedure. I have to be very careful about that. A certain orientation. Have to be very careful of those 3 hot button issues for YouTube because, they're so wonderful. They know what's best for you. Everybody in Southern California knows. Anyhow, so let me tell you about Smithville before we jump into it. It was a great day. Weather was beautiful for the most part. Now, normally I set up at these things. First off, I'm sore as hell because I had to lift all my books. First, you have to load the car, and then you drive down there, and then you have to unload the car, and then you have to set up, and then at the end of the day, you have to put it all back in your car, drive it all home, and then bring it all back into your house again. So there's a lot of lifting. And I'm a little sore from that, but because I'm incredibly out of shape. But other than that, the weird thing was the weather in an odd way, because normally when I do an outside show, and I don't like to do outside shows because I have books, I'm used to comic book conventions, sci-fi conventions, horror conventions. They're all inside. I'm not at the mercy of the weather. I was mostly okay regarding to weather. The wind kicked up a little bit, and that's a nightmare for my backdrop. But I was zip tied down pretty good. The ladies next to me had zip ties, and they helped me out. They also had like a bigger tent, which kind of blocked me, but it also blocked the wind. So it kind of worked out. I was worried about the rain. We got a couple of drops, which freaked me out, but I was under a tent, so I was good. But the weird thing was, when I set up, it was kind of warm, and I thought, oh man, it's going to be hot today. And I was wearing my hunter's outfit, my Hemingway outfit, which, by the way, I got a new day glow vest like the hunters have, so that's kind of cool. And so I'm out there, and it actually got colder. By the end of the day, I was freezing. I couldn't believe it. Normally I'm like stripping off layers, like, oh, why did I wear this hunting outfit? I got a hat on, and I'm dying in the sun. Oh no, I was freezing by the end of it. And I was starving for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. I brought a lunch, and I ate it, but it wasn't enough. I did kind of eat it early. I mean, I had breakfast, and then it was like about 11, quarter to 11, I broke and started eating my sandwich, which I shouldn't have done. I figured, well, I'm only going to be here 5 hours. Oh, by the end of it, I was ravenous. And then, let me tell you about dinner, because I went to an awesome place. I got 3 more minutes before 2. I went to Stewart's in Hamilton. If you haven't been to Stewart's, it's one of the last Stewart's around. There were a few of them in South Jersey. They're the root beer company. They're kind of like Weber's, if you know what Weber's is, people in South Jersey. It's a root beer place. It's a drive-in where you get served in your car. And normally they just have burgers and fries, and they're okay, and the root beer is really good. But Stewart's, during the pandemic, put up a tent, I guess. I guess that was during the pandemic, and so they have like table service now under this tent. And I'm driving home, and I'm so hungry. And when I get hungry, you know how you can't think? Like, I'm too hungry to think. And I'm doing all the math in my head. Should I stop at a place? Should I go home? Oh, I'm going to have to empty the car and then make dinner. I won't be eating for another 2 hours. So finally, I see the sign for Stewart's, and they've got a sign for blueberry milkshakes, which they normally serve in the summer. But I'm like, the sign's still up. And they could be serving blueberry milkshakes today because they could freeze them, right? So I said, screw it. I'm getting a sandwich. Pull in. Well, lo and behold, they have the blueberry milkshakes. And I'm like, ugh. And I look at the menu. It's like a full-blown menu. They got salads and, a lot more sandwiches than you would expect. They have gyros. So I'm like, oh, man, I could really go for a gyro. Because I didn't want to get a salad. The salads were a little pricey there. I mean, $8.95 for a tossed salad. Granted, it was probably a big salad, judging by my sandwich, because my sandwich was out of control. That gyro was packed with meat and deliciousness that I couldn't believe how good it was. It was phenomenal. And it wasn't just that I was hungry. Believe me, I've been there before. This was a better gyro than I've gotten in diners in New Jersey. And diners here in New Jersey are famous for gyros because a lot of times they're run by the Greeks. But this was a fantastic gyro, just absolutely fantastic. It had shredded lettuce with shredded cucumber on it, fresh tomatoes. Oh, it was fantastic. And I had the option of getting feta cheese thrown into it too. And I'm like, nah, I don't want that. Never had it with feta cheese. Maybe I should have gotten that now that I look back. And I got fries, and the fries were perfect. You know me, I love good French fries. They were perfect. They were absolutely perfect. So that was totally worth it. But I got fresh squeezed lemonade, which I just saw it. Again, I wasn't thinking. I was being a little I was treating myself, to be honest. So I got the fresh squeezed lemonade, but that's like $6 for a large. I know, but it was $6. It was fresh squeezed. It was delicious. It was absolutely delicious. And of course I had to get the blueberry milkshake, which was fantastic. I mean, it just, man, straight to my brain, awesomeness. And I'm not a milkshake guy. I'm not one of these guys who has to get a milkshake wherever he goes, only because there were blueberries in it. And it was, I could tell, it was the summer Hamilton blueberries because it's in Hamilton. Just frozen, just ground it up, put right in there. Oh, fantastic. So I cannot recommend enough Stewart's Root Beer in Hamilton, New Jersey. All right, getting done with that, let's get into some headlines, the edited headlines, as best I can do. So this will be for those of you who only watch my YouTube channel, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember when he used to do this. No, I'm still doing it every day on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble. It's just that today I thought I'd give it a try and risk getting another strike on YouTube, I'm sure. So first up is this. This is kind of what inspired me to do the news today. The 1963 list of current communist goals. And this is from Vigilant Citizen. I've never heard of these guys, but it's becoming reality right before our eyes. So let's go through the list. I haven't read it. I just sort of skimmed it and see if it is coming true or if it's just hyperbole. Number 1, U.S. acceptance of coexistence as the only alternative to atomic war. I mean, that doesn't seem just a communist goal. It seems like a survival goal, but okay. Number 2, U.S. willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging to atomic war. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Capitulate to what? Capitulate to the communists? Yeah, no, I don't like that. Develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. I I don't think we're headed down that path. I don't think Biden's too power hungry to do that. So even the Democrats would never do that. Number 4, permit free trade between all nations regardless of communist affiliation and regardless of whether or not items could be used for war. Yeah, no, that is something. I don't know if we're headed towards that, but we've kind of gotten a weird globalist take, which I guess they're kind of doing that. But, at some point we can't. We can't keep. It's not even the trade. It's the fact that we're manufacturing the goods in China. Extension of long-term loans to Russian and Soviet satellites. Well, that's not working out, is it? Number 6, provide American aid to all nations regardless of communist domination. Yeah, that's not going to happen. That has never happened. That I could see, unless you're on board with the American hegemony. They'll go tell you to pound sand. They'll bomb your damn country. Grant recognition of Red China admission to China to UN. Well, that happened. That certainly happened. Set up East and West Germany in separate states in spite of Khrushchev's promise in 1955 to settle German question by free election under supervision of UN. Well, that didn't work out for you, commies. Haha. Prolong the conferences to ban atomic tests because the United States has agreed to suspend tests as long as negotiations are in progress. That's a timely one, so obviously that's gone out the window. Allow all Soviet satellites individual representation in the UN. You've kind of gotten that, but you don't have the Soviet Union anymore. Wah, wah. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If the charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one-world government with its own independent armed forces. Some communist leaders believe the world can be taken over as easily by the UN as by Moscow. Sometimes these two centers compete with each other as they are now doing in the Congo. Well, this is something that seems to be happening kind of at a low level. There are some people who are on board with this, but yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. The UN is just too stupid. And I think if you get 4 years of Trump, another 4 years of Trump, I should say, and 8 years of a Republican, you may see us get out of the UN or really scale it back. Number 12, resist any attempt to outlaw the Communist Party. We don't outlaw the Communist Party, but we don't really have any. We don't really have a big Communist Party in the United States, nor will we, I don't think. Do away with all loyalty oaths. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to say. It's weird too because the left seems to be pushing that in its own backward leftoid way, as Sticks and Hammer would say, because it's not a loyalty oath to your country anymore. It's a loyalty oath to the ideology, I'll say. I don't want to go too deep into it. YouTube. Red line. Number 14, I'm sure this whole thing is a red line for YouTube, bunch of commies. Continue to give Russia access to U.S. Patent Office. Well, I guess that doesn't matter now and certainly isn't happening. Capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. They may have done that with the Democrats regarding China. I don't know. They certainly have influence with them. Look back at the Al Gore scandal with regard to China sending the Democrats money, and there have been other instances too. But I think it's more that I'm convinced it's more that the intelligence community has captured the Democrats or have undue influence, I'll say. I know, my wacky beliefs, but seems to make sense according to what I know, but use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. Ding, 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 ding. I think that one is happening. Now, because Trump put in so many guys, I think there's a lot of resistance to the courts, and we're really seeing a flip. You know, it used to be, it was like, oh, these Democrats, they have activist courts. I think we're going to see that now going the other way, because back in the day, it was the Republicans who were the establishment and the Democrats were coming up. Now it's like the other way around. Get control of schools. Ding, 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 ding. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum. Get control of teachers' associations. Put the party line in textbooks. Oh my God, Joan. Oh my God, that's ding, ding, ding. There you go. Yeah, I know. Joan hates communism. Don't you, Joan? You hate the commies. It makes you bark. Yeah, so we got to get control of the schools again. I say we got to privatize them, but we're a long way from that. But get control of your school boards, number one. Gain control of all student newspapers. Well, that's a non-issue now. Who reads a newspaper? Least of all, students don't read them, that's for sure. Use student riots to foment public protest against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. That seems like one. Infiltrate the press. Ding, ding, ding. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy making positions. Again, it's very dated. It's 63. But still. Gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures. I have no doubt that the communists in China have pushed very hard for every single one of their citizens to gain some sort of control in these areas, especially in the media. Continue discrediting American culture by degrading all forms of artistic expressions. An American communist cell was told to eliminate all good sculpture from parks and buildings, substitute shapeless, awkward, and meaningless forms. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, they've been doing this for years. You ever see a sculpture in a park? It's dopey. 9 times out of 10, it's dopey. It's just some square, some weird cube. And the weird thing is that the artists go with it a lot of times. That's the weird thing. You've got these artists who have convinced themselves, ooh, I'm an artist. I get paid a lot of money to make sculptures in parks. Now, some of these guys are actually talented, but they're taking the money, and it's the people who run the park that are doing this because they think they're. I think it's a lot of useful idiots. A lot of people who think they're being cool and subversive, and they're being arty-farty by having, ooh, what's this mean? I don't know. It can mean whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. No. How about a nice statue of something? Number 23, control art critics and directors of art museums. Our plan is to promote ugliness, repulsive, meaningless art. Again, I don't think you needed to control art critics or directors of art museums. I just think you need to make it a hot thing to deconstruct everything. And that, again, it's already happened. What do the smart people, I should say, like in terms of their art? Well, you look at it and it's utter crap. I mean, you see news organizations all the time reporting on, here's a pile of garbage that was just sold for $2 million because it's supposed to be art. Number 24, eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship in violation of free speech and free press. This one actually, that's weird. I guess they're trying to degrade society in 63. That might have been something. I mean, that's kind of, there's always been free speech here. I mean, censorship is the order of the day now. So really, that one's a little backwards. 25, break down cultural standards of morality by promoting, I don't know what that word is they're censoring. Oh, maybe that word where they do bad things to children. And obscenity in books, magazine, pictures, radio, and TV. There you go. Well, that's certainly coming true. 26, present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. Yeah, that one seems to be happening. No offense to the gays, but definitely the latter of that seems to be happening. That they are promoting. I mean, I just looked at that trailer for that Emma Thompson movie about a woman who's married many years and then she hires a gigolo to infuse her life with some meaning. It's a weird message. It's a weird message. The Lotus Eaters were looking at this Netflix show, and I don't know how I missed the trailer for this, but it was, maybe I did something on it, but it was a show with sex positive puppets. And it was like painful to watch. They showed a clip of it. It was, and again, it was promoting basically degeneracy and promiscuity and just sex. Number 27, infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. Yeah, that's definitely happening. In fact, I'm going to show you an article. It's crazy. Oh, wait, no, I don't have the link. It was on Twitter. It was, hold on one sec. I feel like I got something. Oh, someone's coming out. It was the first lesbian bishop holding up a sign saying, "We are all Muslims," and wanting to create a Muslim safe space in the church, which made no sense because it's not a Muslim temple, or what is it, a temple or mosque? It's not a mosque, right? You wouldn't expect the mosque to have a special area so Christians could pray. I mean, would you? You wouldn't expect a Jewish temple to have a special section for Muslims, Christians, Buddhists. I mean, you just wouldn't expect that. It's a separate religion. So it's bizarre, yeah, and it's again being replaced by social religion, which I would interpret as wokeness now. Number 28, eliminate prayer and any phase of religious expression in the schools on the ground that it violates the principle of separation in church of state. Well, that one's definitely come to pass. And yet wokeness, which should probably be recognized as a religion, is rife. Number 29, discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, out of step with modern needs, and a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, that one's definitely happening on MSNBC. Number 30, discredit the American Founding Fathers, present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. It's not quite, but they did it with racism. Certainly, yeah. Number 31, belittle all forms of American culture and discourage the teaching of American history on the grounds that it was only a minor part of the big picture. Give more emphasis to Russian history since the communists took over. Not quite what they achieved, but they definitely achieved the former, not the latter. And I think there should be more history taught in schools, especially American history. It seems to be slowly being eliminated. Number 32, support any socialist movement to give centralized control over any part of the culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics. I mean, that certainly is happening with the useful idiots. Number 33, eliminate all laws and procedures which interfere with the operation of the communist apparatus, whatever that means. Number 34, eliminate the House Committee on Americans' Activities. Well, that was going to go anyway. That's pretty dated. Number 35, discredit and eventually dismantle the FBI. Yeah, that was back in '63 when the FBI was actually anti-communist. Now they'd probably be all about it. Number 36, infiltrate and gain control of more unions. Yeah, I mean, unions, I don't know how effective they are anymore, but number 37, infiltrate and gain control of big business. That certainly has happened. Number 38, transfer some of the powers of arrest to police to social agencies. Treat all behavior problems as psychiatric disorders which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. Ding, ding, ding. It's totally happened in Minnesota, right? In Minneapolis. They're trying to push for it in places out in the Northwest. Wow. Number 40, discredit the family as an institution, encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. Ding, ding, ding. What did BLM want to do on its website before they got discovered and then it was taken out. Joan, you're showing your butt to everybody. Here, go ahead, go do something. Ugh, pain in the neck. Yeah, BLM had it on their website to discredit or what was it? Dismantle the nuclear family. 41. Emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents, attribute prejudice, mental blocks, and retarding. Sorry, YouTube, don't flag me. Of children to suppressive influence of parents. I read that. That wasn't my word, YouTube. Settle down. Oh, hey, JEC. JEC says, big push to replace police with social workers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this taking kids away from the parents certainly is one right now. You see with, I mean, if you go to the libs of TikTok, you'll see it. I just watched 2 videos today. They're horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. What some of these wackadoos want to do to children. I don't have kids, okay? I don't have kids. I have many relatives who have children. But, you know, even a childless wonder like me can see that's not good. That is not good at all. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition. The students and special interest groups should rise up and use united force to solve economic, political, and social problems. Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely. The Democrats did that all throughout the summer of love. Number 43, overthrow all colonial governments before native populations are ready for self-government. Well, that's kind of a throwback. 44, internationalize the Panama Canal. Not happening. 45, repeal the Connolly Reservation so the United States cannot prevent the World Court from seizing jurisdiction over domestic problems. Give the World Court jurisdictions over nations and individuals alike. I don't think you'll see that. But some of these other things, yeah, absolutely. So, I guess you got to give some credit to the commies for getting some of their goals done. But it's time to step on the gas and reverse all that and get more based, I say. All right. Moving on to the other headlines. Hopefully, YouTube hasn't ended the stream, because I'm talking about commies. Here's a funny headline. Psaki says there are limitations imposed on Biden that have not allowed people to see, quote, what his magic is. Yeah, he's got a magic trick. It's called pooping in his pants when you least expect it. I mean, she is off her nut. JEC says, just took them 60 years, talking about the commies. Yeah. Obama makes it clear the left isn't going to tolerate free speech anymore. Yeah, imagine being the first black president and you're going to spend your twilight retirement days pushing things like trying to censor people on social media. I guess he got his, right? I mean, I guess what does he care? He's part of the elite. He's got his money. His family's taken care of. What does he care? He'll always have a voice, although not on Spotify. Let's see. JEC, his magic trick is failing upwards. Sure is. So is everybody in the Democratic Party, apparently, and a lot of people, you know, in Hollywood. These people fail upward all the time. It's usually because they're related to somebody, but these days, now because you're the right race or gender or you have the right political ideology, apparently. Psaki again. Biden gets frustrated when his passions are ignored. Government imposes limitations on him. What a weird statement. What a weird statement. That doesn't sound like someone who works for the president. That sounds like a follower, a disciple of a cult leader. You know, Charles Manchin really gets frustrated when his passions are ignored. Government imposes limitations on him. Let's see. Well, this one I don't know if I could talk about. Anyhow, there's some election where I won't say which one, but may have flipped it in certain states. So I of course, because I'm on YouTube, believe that the elections were perfectly taken. You know, they're wonderful, wonderful elections. Honk honk, totally honest, above board. Honk honk. President Biden, of course, the most popular president ever. Honk 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 honk. So, but you can find that article on Gab Trends. Red Voice Media says, one world government, the WHO pandemic treaty spells the end for democracy. Again, another goal of the communists. It wouldn't surprise me if something like that was in the mix in the UN. I mean, look at who's running the UN or the WHO. It's I believe he's a Marxist from Ethiopia. Is that guy? It's the guy that the Chinese put in power. And even the Obama admin objected. Trump says Biden is taking orders from the Easter Bunny. And that America is being run by a deranged group of extremists. See, how is he wrong? I mean, he did take orders from the Easter Bunny on the White House lawn. So... Oh, here's the... Now, I read this article and then it disappeared yesterday. Wynn Bruce dies after lighting himself on fire outside the Supreme Court. Now, I wonder why he did that. He's an older guy. It's at the New York Post, which we'll get into. Tedros, yes, is the WHO guy, says JEC. Trump fumes about dishwashers at Ohio rally and claims Americans are unable to use bathroom properly due to low water pressure. So this is, of course, a headline from Yahoo News trying to make Trump look bad. But I mean, really, who gets their news? Yahoo? I guess a few people do. Macron... I think this is from yesterday, claims that banning Islamic veil would spark civil war in France. Oh, this is from Summit News. Yeah, kind of would. It kind of might. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to get France back to being French. You know, it's the immigration policy over there is the policy. It's the issue there. France is just being overwhelmed by immigrants. It's too much. They cannot look. The United States, we're a big country. Even now, even with Biden cracking open the border and letting guys pour in here, we can still absorb them. Okay. Yes, we have our own, little areas where people don't integrate all so well, but the country's so big, it kind of almost doesn't matter. But France is not nearly as big as the United States. And, the numbers, it's a lot of people. On top of the fact, my understanding is you get much better benefits in a country like France. I mean, they basically put you in a place to live and give you money. It's like, in the United States, you get some things, maybe, but if you're an illegal alien, you're just basically going to work. It's just the money here is still more valuable than, say, in Mexico. So you can live kind of like below the poverty line here and kind of eke out a living and send money back home, which is really what a lot of immigrants do. If you look at the Italian immigrants, which I've looked at pretty closely, 50% of them didn't stay. They just made their money here and then took it back to Italy and bought a farm and bought a business and, thrived. So it's a lot of what immigrants do. But it also draws money out of the United States, and it also undercuts, all the wage growth here. Because you have so many people who are immigrants that you can hire for nothing, I mean, even just eking out a living, like I do as a writer, and occasionally look for little gigs. You can go on Craigslist and you can find gigs for like, help me move my stuff for $50 or whatever. And you can find gigs like that when you've got a country full of illegal immigrants who will literally work for very little. You know, you could get your lawn mowed for nothing, next to nothing. And it's not right for them. I mean, even though it kind of, you know, the money goes a little further in their country, they're not living a great life here. It's not right. You know, it's really creating, it's not really I wouldn't call it a slave class. It's more of like a serf class. And it's just, you know, it just disrupts the country. It causes other problems because a lot of these guys, they get here and then they go, screw this. I'll just become a criminal. Because you can rob people and make money all day long in this country because people are just so rich. So you got to get a hold on the immigration, France. You really do. But you got to get out of the EU. That's the only way that's going to work. A new poll finds Kamala Harris' approval rating is 18 points lower than Joe Biden's. Jesus. I mean, what's that put her in the negatives? Kamala Harris? Jeez. This is how pathetically bad she is. That she's worse off than Biden? It's mind-boggling when you think about it. Now, I think they should just put her in at this point. Biden is out to lunch. I think he's dangerous being that out to lunch. But I can see why the Democrats will not put her in. But who knows? Maybe they'd put her in and she'd actually her score would go up. I don't know. Louis Kellerman, are you a screenwriter? Why, yes, I am. Hi, Louis. Welcome to the stream. I was going to talk about movies today. Well, we can get into some movies if you want. Oh, this was from yesterday. Exxon won't fly the LGBTQ BLM flags at corporate offices. Yeah, why should they? They have nothing to do with that. This isn't about whether or not they're hiring LGBTQ people or whatever. It's just about, are they going to fly it in their offices? No, their offices have nothing to do with that. They should completely stay out of politics. Good on them for staying out of it. Stay out of it. Who cares? Who cares? They should fly the flag of the country they're in. That's it. That's it. They're an American company. They should probably fly the American flag. Or an Exxon flag. Who cares? But not political flags. Get out of politics. Stay out, Exxon. Stay out. Look at what happened to Disney. Stay out. According to the Daily Mail, half of women are now childless at 30 for the first time ever. Well, that's kind of scary, UK. That's kind of scary. Of course, my dating prospects in the UK are probably pretty good. But that means there's probably a lot of depressed wine ants in England. Fox News says mother's trapped in Mariupol steel plant begged for evacuation. I don't know how true this is. I mean, maybe. Certainly it's possible. But we got to get out of the Ukraine. Got to get out of there. Just force them into a peace deal. Whatever you could take and be done. Company says makeup kit Amber Heard claims she used to hide bruises didn't exist. Oh, as Louis says again. Louis says, I'm 18, my last year of high school. I personally write my own scripts at the moment for fun, but I am going to college next year where I'll be studying film and history. Any screenwriting tips, sir? Yes. Well, let's set aside the news for a minute. I have many screenwriting tips for you, Louis. First, number one. I don't know if college is going to help you. I mean, I went to college for screenwriting. Didn't do much for me. What it really is used for is making connections to the industry. Okay, screenwriting as a profession, as an art, is. I mean, William Goldman was complaining about this right before he died. If you don't know who William Goldman is, get his book, Screenwriting Adventures in the Screenwriting Trade. And he was one of the best screenwriters alive. and when he was alive. And even he said there's just no art to it. I mean, he, towards the end of his life, he just had sort of given up on it because there's no respect for it in Hollywood, right? And you will see, if you become a screenwriter, that producers, directors, they'll take the credit. They'll take half the credit like that. They pass it around. Now, nobody wants to actually write the script. Most of these people can't write scripts. Oh, but they want the credit. They want the credit because they want people to think they're very, very clever. And then Louis said, message redacted. I don't know, your message got redacted, Louis. So I'm not sure college is the way to go with screenwriting. Or screenwriting's the way to go. Really, probably the way to go would be directing, making the movie, and then developing screenwriting skills. And studying film and history, I mean, it's fun. There's a lot there. Certainly you want to know the basics. Louis said, I never wanted to go to college. I'm mainly doing it to please my parents. Well, make them pay for it then, because they'll be paying for it for a long time, and you'll have a degree. You know, I have a degree in communications from Ithaca College with a emphasis on screenwriting, television, radio, screenwriting. I have a minor in anthropology and writing. And I did pretty good in college. I got good grades. But the degree isn't worth all that much. It's just not. You know, I got out of college, I got a job at Sports 8, which was a TV station in Hamilton. And the first thing these guys asked me to do was to work the oscilloscope, which was the one machine we were never allowed to operate in the TV station in the college TV station. We weren't allowed to touch it. So I didn't know how to operate it. So I never touched it, and then I did all my editing, but I hadn't fixed the oscilloscope properly for the video signal, and I had wasted hours of time editing. JEC says, wrong reason to go to school. Screenwriting is a tough gig to make work even harder with crippling debt. Yep. Look, you don't need to go to college to be a creative, is the bottom line. You know, if you've got money, here's what I would do, looking back on my, let's say, many mistakes in life. If I wanted to be a screenwriter in Hollywood and I just wanted to do screenwriting, what I would do is, number one, I would move to LA. Don't move to LA, I would say, but if you really want to do this, Louis, get into LA, tell your parents to, instead of paying for your college, just pay to live in LA, which is a nightmare. There's people living on the streets. It's awful. Then get a job at one of the movie production companies, being a secretary or PA or gopher or whatever, and ingratiate yourself with the production people there. Then take, classes. Everybody takes classes in LA. Take acting classes, take writing classes, and, just classes, not college classes, just any class. It doesn't matter. And then work on stuff at night. Louis says, I'm from Ireland, unfortunately. I love it here. For film, it's not great. Au contraire, mon frère. Au contraire. I'll get back to that in a minute. So, well, you can't, you're from Ireland, so yeah, going to LA is probably a big deal for you. Going to America is probably a big deal for you. Might be a little different in Ireland, but in the United States, what are you going to get with an education? You're going to sit around. I will 100% be going abroad. Maybe LA could be possible. Yeah, be careful, my friend. It is not the LA I moved to. I mean, it was scary when I moved there. It was scary when I moved there in the late 80s. Now it's like a third world country on the streets there. The streets that I used to walk around because I was so broke, I don't even think you can walk around there anymore without stumbling into homeless guys throwing poo at you. So, look, Louis, if you're in Ireland, then my strategy would be different. Okay, so you're in Ireland. They have a movie industry. You have a movie industry. In fact, I saw, what was that movie? Oh gosh, it was about the hairdressers who kill a local gangster and then, or fight the local gangsters and then win a contest, win like a hair thing contest. Louis, trust me, I see what's happened to LA. The homeless crisis is crazy. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, if you have the money, if your family has the money, sure, do whatever you want. But if your family has that kind of money, I'd say have your family fund a small film, do a short film. Do a short film, try to do a feature. I'll tell you what features work. Look, I'm all over the map here because every comment sends me off in a new direction. But here's a strategy for you. Forget about college. Just don't. I mean, maybe it's different in Ireland. Maybe the degree means something. But what you want really is to get a degree in something that can make you money, so you can make money and then shoot a movie on the weekends, something like that. But setting that aside, the strategy you want is you want to make a low budget feature film that is either horror, TNA, little hot chicks, or action, or any combination thereof. Okay? Like comedy doesn't translate overseas. Horror does. TNA does. Action does. So if you can make a low budget film in any of those genres, you can get distribution, you can make money, and you can be in the movie industry. And if you do that, if you get a low budget movie made and distributed, you can be anything you want then, because then you're the guy who made a movie, right? So you want to be a screenwriter? Yeah, okay, sure. It doesn't matter at that point. If you make a movie that makes money, then everybody will just throw money at you. You make connections. You go to film festivals. You talk to the distributors. I'm sure there's a distributor in Ireland. Like I went to, me and my friend went to Canada. We tried to get a movie thing going there, and we talked to the Canadian distributors, and they are separate from the American distributors. And our plan was to get a movie made in Canada, mostly, and take advantage of Canadian tax credits, and then distribute the movie there, hold on to the Canadian distribution, but sell off the American distribution for big money to get all our money back, and then cash in on the Canadian market, which is smaller but still worth millions of dollars. Now, I'm not sure what the market is in Ireland. It's a much smaller country. I'm sure you have your urban areas. You have Dublin. You have a few other places, but I'm not sure. It may be combined with England in terms of the distribution, but and there may be all sorts of rules that I'm not aware of. But if you can make a movie, they need movies. They need content. Forget about going to college to figure it out. You can figure it out by watching movies, reading books. What are you going to do if you go to college? They're going to say, read this book. And you'll read the book, and they'll say, okay, what did you learn in the book? And you'll say, well, I learned these things. Correct. Here's your grade. Now pay us thousands of dollars. You can do that on your own. I already told you the 3-act structure. I don't know how many times on this channel. You already know the 3-act structure, I assume. Make screenplays. That's all you need to know. That's all they're going to do. You're going to go to college and you're going to write screenplays for guys who don't make movies. College professors who think they're more, they're more, high and mighty than the guys who actually make movies. People who can do, people who can't teach. That's the rule. The guys in college, 90% of them, they never worked in the industry. I had one guy in my college who worked in the industry. That guy knew what he was talking about. He had TV teleplays, produced, and he had a few movies produced. That guy knew his stuff. The rest of the guys, they gave me terrible advice. Terrible advice. I had a college professor who taught advanced screenwriting, and she was the... Oh, who just chimed in? Hollywood ate my baby. Hello. YouTube is better than uni these days for learning stuff. It absolutely is. I had a college professor, this is in the 80s, but still, advanced screenwriting. You know what she did? She made us put in shot numbers in our screenplay. Now, this is the kind of tedious, stupid thing that, first off, screenwriters never do this. You never put in shot numbers. That is the job of the director's assistant, maybe, to do. Like, the director is going to determine the shots and work with various people to get a storyboard and all that. And then eventually somebody in the staff is going to, okay, go ahead and put the shot numbers in the screenplay. She wanted us to put the shot numbers in. She was teaching screenwriting. She used to brag about her connections at the news agencies. And I would raise my hand and go, what does the news agencies have to do with screenwriting? And she would look at me like, well, you write scripts in the news. I'm like, we're not here to write news scripts. We're not here to write copy for the news. We're here to write screenplays. I would argue with her in class. I was openly hostile to. This is the only instructor I was openly hostile to. She was out of her mind. She never taught the class again after I took it because she had to give an evaluation, and she took the evaluation. She stayed in the room during the evaluation, which was against the rules. And as I'm writing the evaluation, she was taking it away from me, and I literally wrote on my evaluation, "She's in the room, and now she's taking the paper away." She didn't know what the F she was talking about. She never had anything produced as far as I knew. She had no idea how to teach screenwriting. Looking back on it, she had no idea what she was doing. None. Zero. Zip. But she taught that class because her husband was in the faculty too. Had another teacher. He was so bad in class. He would show his own terrible productions for screenplays he wrote. He was obsessed with Proust. He just died, by the way. Not a bad human being. I mean, he was just an idiot. But he showed his own production in class and then had us evaluate it. Do you understand what that is? That is a weird power dynamic, right? It's like having your boss bring you into the office and say, "What do you think of my work?" What are you going to say to your boss? This sucks. Or you certainly could have done. And his production was terrible, by the way. It was the worst thing I ever saw. He also didn't know how to work the oscilloscope, by the way. So the signal was all like, we were watching this thing. I'm like, what's wrong with the TV? And he goes, well, we didn't adjust the oscilloscope before we edited it, but just ignore that. I'm like, how can you ignore this? This was broadcast on TV? Oh man, a bunch of comments just popped up. Louis, thank you, sir. You have taught me a lot in 15 minutes. Like I said, I'm 18, I'm in high school, and just looking to make my parents happy. They have openly told me they do not love me. But what? They have openly told you they do not love me, but still have some kind of desire to make them proud? Whoa, wait a minute. Louis. Okay, first off, that's a much bigger issue than screenwriting. They have openly told you that they do not love you? Are you sure? First off, are you sure, Louis? Maybe you're misinterpreting something they said as that. Maybe you need to sit down with your parents and have a little chat with them about your life. and you know, and believe me, I understand the impetus to want to make your parents proud. I totally understand that. Totally understand that. Anyhow, sorry to rant on my thing. I went off on a tangent again. Sorry. But I have many things to say about university professors. They're terrible. You know, they're just terrible. They don't know what they're doing. The only reason to go to university would be to make connections in the industry at that university so you could make headway into a production company the moment you graduated. The moment. But screenwriting is a tough road to hoe. But the upshot is they don't give a F about your degree. All they care about is your credits. So you're in high school now. What you have is time. You have more time than I do. You don't have to worry about money right now. And I don't know your situation at home. But what you should be doing right now is writing screenplays. Write short ones, long ones, as many as you can. Write a bunch of them. especially the short ones. They're easy to sell. There are filmmakers out there looking for screenplays. They're looking for short films, short, interesting films to shoot. And you can get some credits right now. Get some credits. Get them to pay you. You don't have to ask for a lot of money. I mean, look, I'll knock out a 5-page script. If I get $50 for it, I'm happy as a clam. I don't care. As long as I get the credit, as long as I get my $50, get some money for it. I wouldn't take less than $10 a page. Louis, no, I really don't want to sound like the pity parade right now, but it's true. My family is not like others. I think that's okay. Maybe it'll inspire my writing, haha. But yes, I do write my own. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not saying you're in a weird... Well, you're in a weird situation, dude. But I don't know your family dynamic. But, work on that, I would say. That's more important than screenwriting. But just write. Right now. And then get on the internet and look for guys. Hollywood ate my baby. Very good advice. Just keep writing. Yeah. Absolutely. Look online for people who are looking for short screenplays. They're everywhere online. They're everywhere. Do searches. Just get on the search engine and search in various ways and various search engines, looking for short scripts, that kind of things. Craigslist, all the time. All the time there's stuff on Craigslist going on, at least in the United States. I don't know what the situation is in Ireland. I imagine there are some guys there with equipment who are looking to shoot stuff. And some guys who are tech heads, they're not creative. And they're the guys you want to hook up with if you're not going to be the tech guy yourself. You want to get involved with those guys and say, hey, I have a screenplay, and don't be too precious about it. You're just starting out. What you want is money, so you could say you're a pro. JEC. Sounds like there's a script about your family somewhere in there. Yeah, I'm sure. Number one, you want money, even if they just pay you $5. Tell them, listen, I need you to pay me something so I can say I'm a professional. Right? Even if you have to say that just to get $1 out of them, get it. And then the next time you're trying to get somebody to sell a screenplay, or you're trying to sell a screenplay to somebody, you can say, oh, well, I have credits. I did this, I sold this script to this production company. And when they say, wait a minute, did you actually sell it at 17? Say, yes, I did. Don't tell them how much you got. Nobody's going to ask you that. And if they ask you, then they're probably not very professional. You could just say, oh, well, I don't discuss the money. I'm sorry, I don't discuss money. That's a professional thing to do. Money makes it real. So you have to get paid, number one. Number two, it's better if they've actually produced the damn thing, even if it sucks. Even if it sucks. Don't worry if they produce it and they wreck it, because nobody will see it. I've had plenty of produced scripts, well, not plenty, but some produced scripts, and I don't worry because nobody's ever going to see them. I people go to my IMDb and go, what the hell is this movie? And I go, yeah, I got a credit. And no one blames the screenwriter, by the way. That's a one advantage of being a screenwriter. If somebody says, oh, this movie was terrible, you can say, well, the script was fine. The script was great. And it's most likely true. That's the best part. They can't blame the screenwriter. It's very hard to blame the screenwriter in the movie industry. The director gets all the credit, but he also gets all the blame. Yeah, you try to blame the screenwriter, people will go, come on, dude. It's the director or the acting. Sometimes it's the acting. Very rarely can you, I guess if the premise is so stupid, like some of the movies I review or some of the trailers, maybe. So, main advice, don't think you need college. Get on YouTube. Talk to guys like me. Just start writing. Read the basics, 3-act structure. Look at movies, the kind of movies you want to write, so you're not reinventing the wheel. Get out there, write the stuff. Okay, enough about screenwriting, Louis. If you have any more specific questions, shoot me an email or shoot me a comment, and I'm happy to answer. All right, man, stream's almost over, and I haven't gotten through the headlines. Let's see. Speaking of Hollywood, company says makeup kit. Oh, I think I read this. Amber Heard claims she used to hide her bruises didn't exist. Yeah. So this was a big revelation in the Depp Heard trial. She held up this makeup kit to hide the bruises, and said I had to carry this around with me all the time. But the cosmetic company, I forget which one it was, a high-end company, announced that particular cosmetic it had like 4 colors in it, didn't even exist during that time. They didn't start making it until like the year after the incident with the bruises, supposedly. So very interesting so Amber Heard is looking worse and worse in her defamation defense. I hope she gets her clock cleaned. I hope she loses every cent. Oh, it'll be glorious if Johnny gets the whole $50 million plus lawyer expenses. How fantastic would that be? How fantastic would that be? Oh, it's just going to be great. And of course, another Hollywood headline. Will Smith is seen in India because he's gone to India to hide. This is the smartest thing he's ever did. I don't know why more celebrities don't do stuff like this. When you get in trouble, hide. Go away. Michael Jackson, he did it. He went away for like 2 years. He went to France and just hung out and had a nice vacation. This is exactly what Will Smith should be doing. Get the F away from Hollywood. Take 2 years off. And in 2 years, everybody will forget. And he'll be back and he'll have a million projects. Hollywood Ate My Baby says, I've been watching bits of this trial. It's quite funny. Yeah, it's just too much. I can't watch it, but I've seen the highlights, mostly from YouTubers. At least 35 shot Friday into Sunday morning in Lori Lightfoot's Chicago. Just in case you were wondering if you should move to Chicago. The answer is, God, no. Recipients of the Paxlovid report, symptoms of returning and even tested positive for the viral virus again. Oh, I guess this is about the beer virus and some sort of treatment. I don't know anything about that, YouTube, but if you want to read the article, it's on the Daily Mail. There's a link at Gab Trends. What else? ISIS declares new global offensive while the Crusaders are fighting each other. Yeah, I don't know if there's any guys left in ISIS, but maybe. U.S. company plans to bring back woolly mammoths. Yeah, they've been talking about this for a while. It'd be cool if they do it, right? I mean, it'd be kind of cool. I don't know, how much they're going to be brought back, but I guess they're going to get like frozen embryos and sperm and then like gestate them in an elephant. I think that's the plan, something like that. Be interesting. I mean, certainly it'd be great to see woolly mammoths walking around again. Like I've seen them. Let's see. Elizabeth Warren, McCarthy is a liar and a traitor. Jesus. Okay. Then he didn't want Trump to resign? Elizabeth Warren again. Title 42 is not consistent with our values, says Biden admin, pulling plans in place for those asking for amnesty. I don't know what values she's talking about. I mean, I guess her value of appealing to leftist idiots who want no wall, no border at all. Exclusive, Biden's DHS blocked Republicans from viewing border at night. Not sure how that's legal, but this is why I'm telling you, all these Democrats need to go. We need to just kick them all out of office, every single one of them. I'm so sick of these people. Let them kick them to the curb. Put in some populist Republicans for the next 12 years and fix all this mess. Fix all this mess, and then we can complain about the Republicans and and you people who allegedly voted for Biden. You can go pound sand, because I think we've seen what you can do now. I mean, inside of a year, look at what Biden has done. I mean, it's just an absolute disaster. Is there any debate here? I mean, I've talked to hardcore Democrats who still support Biden, who said, yeah, he shouldn't be president now. I mean, it's bad. French polls open after Macron makes last-ditch appeal to young voters. I hope he loses, but Sticks and Hammer says he's going to win. But I'd like to see Le Pen win. This was big news. Elon Musk supposedly there was a tweet thread about it that he rebuffed Bill Gates' philanthropy request, and basically told him, "Hey, you're shorting the Tesla stock, so you're not helping me, and you're not helping the Earth. So why should I sit down with you and talk about climate change?" And then Elon today seemed to confirm that on Twitter. So apparently it's true. Very based, Elon Musk. I'm glad he trolled Bill Gates. Bill Gates, in my view, has become a clown, not a credible person on the world stage, if he ever was. So he's another guy. I think he should just retire. I mean, how much money do you need? What is he doing at this point other than getting more money? I guess it's just you spend your entire life trying to accumulate money, and then you do, and you just can't stop. You just can't figure out another thing to do with your life, I guess. I'm glad I didn't get that way, but anyhow, just the news. Free speech criticism has unlikely source, the press. Yes, I think you should censor us more, says the New York Times, apparently. That's in the picture. Oh my God. The New York Times is such a joke now. I mean, you talk about, it used to be the paper of record. I mean, you talk about resting on its laurels. Their audience is just literally going to die. They're just gonna age out and die. I don't know how they're gonna keep the thing going. I mean, I don't even think the leftoids like this publication, really. And they just keep going further and further left. I mean, these people forget what it was like during the Bush administration. These guys couldn't help the Bush administration enough. Now it's full of practically communist. I mean, Barry Weiss had to leave. Go back and listen to her final letter at the New York Times. Louis, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Starting to sound like a Bill Gates quote. Yeah, I don't know if Bill Gates was ever the hero. I mean, they used to always chastise him for Windows. You know, he used to be, I think, on the internet, he was still a villain in the world of computers because he was in charge of Windows, and Windows always had so many problems, especially what was it, Windows, was it 7? Was it one? There was one that was really bad. Maybe it was 8? I don't know. I had one that I really liked, the Windows operating system. I guess it was 8. I held on to for the longest time. But eventually I had to upgrade to 10. I hate 10. I mean, it's okay now, but not a big fan. Russia launches airstrike against Azovstal steel factory, Kiev says. Maybe. Oversight committee raises questions about Biden donors, government contracts. I'm sure he's got his hand deep in that pocket, but we're not going to find anything out until the Republicans get in, because they'll have the votes and they'll actually be able to do something. Vista, that was it. Thank you, JEC. Yeah, it was Vista. That was the terrible, terrible one. It was like a halfway between, I don't know, my ex had it on her computer, and she got a deal on her computer, and we thought it was such a great deal, and then she had to operate Vista, and we had nothing but problems with it. Texas National Guardsman still missing, believed to have drowned in Rio Grande River. Yeah, that was terrible. He was saving migrants. I mean, that's just terrible. Busing illegal migrants to D.C., bringing the border to Biden, or abetting in human trafficking. Oh, God. Are they going to try to attack Abbott on that? House Armed Services Democrat. Biden's defense budget doesn't build the force we need. Yeah, I mean, look, one of the things I was not a huge fan of with Trump is rebuilding the military. What we should be doing is consolidating the military, right? We should be closing down a lot of these unnecessary military bases around the world and cutting our cost, trimming the fat. There's a lot of fat in the military, and getting it down to a fighting force that makes sense. We are spending 10 times what the Russians spend on defense, and probably more. That's probably a conservative estimate. We don't need to spend that kind of, 10 times. We could spend 5 times and still outmatch them by a considerable amount. Why do we have to spend 10 times? It's just too much. Zero hedge. Half the headlines at Zero Hedge I just don't even understand. It's very smart site, but very stocky, all about stocks. This is a bad headline, but they're very reliable. Putin has lost interest in diplomacy. Oh, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign, but doesn't surprise me. He's getting his head kicked in. It doesn't look good. They're attacking him at all sides, so. But it may be, again, just a position. He's taking a position. Trashing the Constitution to seize Russian property. This is Judge Napolitano. Oh, good for him getting an article. Yeah, it's the seizing of these yachts just seem very kind of random and kind of illegal. We're not at war with the Russians, so and these guys are just businessmen. Probably very corrupt guys, but who knows? Can't just seize their property. It seems very wrong. U.S. to respond accordingly if Solomon Islands China Pact permits military base. How is that going to work? Accordingly. Yeah, we're going to respond. Is a strongly worded letter in our future? Oh, no. JEC, I like Zero Hedge, but all the Fight Club references are cringe. Well, that's what he started with. He can't stop it now. UK's largest supermarket begins rationing cooking oil amid supply disruption. Oh no, that's not good. Let's see. What could you use in place of cooking oil? Well, you got a couple of options. You got olive oil, but that's kind of the same thing. But, you may have better access to it because you're closer to Italy. Lard, of course. Lard, not healthy, but, my mother used to save lard back in the day. Back in the 70s, we may be heading towards that again. So when you fry something up, you pour off all the oil into an empty tin can and then put it in the fridge, like bacon grease and things like that. And then you save it, and then when you want to fry something, you put it out like butter in the pan and you use it to fry things. And with bacon grease, it works great. It's very tasty. Everything's very tasty if you fry it in bacon grease. So yeah, and then of course butter. Again, not very healthy, but you can fry stuff. Although these days you got air fryers. If you got an air fryer, I just started using an air fryer again. It worked pretty good. It makes everything really dry, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst thing I ever tasted. You can put sauces on it or whatever. And grilling. I think grilling is very underrated. I think you can grill almost anything. And again, you don't really need a lot of oil or sauces or anything. So, just some tips from a fat guy who loves to eat. All right, let's go over to the New York Post. Lots of headlines at the New York Post. University of Wisconsin mourns death of beloved track star 21. Oh, my God, that's terrible. I wonder what happened. Here's a headline. I'm just going to read this headline. YouTube, don't flag me. COVID patients feel like, quote, animals in Shanghai when fences restrain sick residents. It's interesting. COVID headline next to an athlete mysteriously dropping dead. I can't say more than that. Animal rights protester in ref jersey storms court at NBA playoff game. Not sure why they would do that. What does the NBA have to do with animal rights? They don't use animals at the NBA that I'm aware of. Maybe back in the day they had a mascot, but even that would have been a pretty pampered animal. But hey, the NBA, they love protest. Oh, they love politics. Why didn't they just invite this man out and give him a microphone and let him talk for an hour about animal rights? I don't understand why they tackled him. Huh. NBA, it seems like you don't want to have politics interrupting your games. That's so weird. Because before it was on your jerseys, and we had to stop and hear your various lectures, even though you're broadcast in China where you make a ton of money, and they got some problems over there. So, that's so weird. I'm being sarcastic, aren't I? Let's see. Man, some of these old headlines. What is this? Two Towers, Julia Fox rocks sky-high heels and barely slip dress. I mean, she looks okay. What did she date Kanye West for like a week just so she can get in the headlines? I mean, she's hot, but who cares? Animal rights don't matter until Black Lives Matter. Obviously, says JC. Massive forest fire continues to burn in Florida after threatening homes. Oh, that's weird. That's the first time I ever heard of a forest fire in Florida. I'm sure they have them. It's so swampy down there. I'm surprised it could catch fire. Subway assaults, this is in New York, jumped by over 50%, the highest total in 11 months. Ugh, I think that's the picture of the guy slapping his poo against some guy's face. I mean, that's enough right there. I'm never getting on a New York subway ever again. Not until a Republican runs that town. Oh, no. No, thank you. I'll take a cab. I'll pay for the cab or Uber or whatever the hell happens in New York now. I'm just not going to New York. I mean, I don't know what song and dance you'd have to do to get me to go to New York now. I wasn't that crazy about going to New York before all this, quite frankly. Louis says, do you think screenwriting profession is dying in the younger generation? You have to understand, Louis, it's not that it's dying. It's just that Hollywood never respected it. The entire movie industry is dying. The entertainment industry in the United States is dying. So it's just that on the totem pole of things in the movie industry, screenwriting's pretty near the bottom, and so it's like the first thing they'll cut in a lot of movies. I talked about the other day, The Player. Is that what it was called? The Tim Robbins movie, The Player. There's a scene in it where they're talking about making a movie based on an interesting news article. And this is something they're talking about doing in the studios. They're talking about doing that. They're talking about using AIs to do stories. I mean, they'll do anything to get rid of screenwriters because they're the important talent, in my view, in a movie. The director's important too, but, in terms of the brain power, it all comes from the screenwriter. Without a good premise and dialogue and all those good things, you don't really have a movie. And everybody in Hollywood will complain about screenwriting, but when you say, well, are you going to hire a screenwriter? Like, well, let's not get crazy. Oh, what are you going to pay the screenwriter? Oh, whatever we can get away with. I mean, that's the attitude. These guys pay nothing if they can. It's not a lot of money. They'll tell you, they'll do a dance, and these aren't like high-level guys who'll do it too. The low-level guys will do it too. Like, well, we don't have any, I got to save all the money for the equipment and the editing because it's really expensive. You understand we can't pay you, but we'll pay you down the road if the movie makes money, which means never. That means never. You're never going to see a dime because the movie is an endless black hole for money in terms of marketing, in terms of distribution. So you have to be something else to be a screenwriter to actually make money, unless you're getting your money up front. Unless I've met producers and directors who they understand that, and they will pay you okay rates, but there are a lot of guys who won't. They'll try to get it all for free. So, is it dying? It needs something. It needs someone to come out and say, screenwriting is important, and we're going to make it important. We're going to promote the screenwriter. We're going to pay him a decent amount. We're going to say, hey, this was written by this guy. I mean, it's important, you know? If you have a movie that's based on a book and you have the author at least co-writing the script, that means if the book was good, you know, the screenplay will probably be very, very good. It will probably be a good movie because there's a lot of detail in a book. And when that comes across, you know, the fans of that are going to get a great payoff. Louis says, how much does a short film screenplay sell for, and what about a full script? Ken, it's, you know, if you're talking a union rate, you can look that up. I mean, but you're not in a union, so you're not going to get that. It's whatever you can negotiate for. Typically, it's 2% of the total budget. So if a movie costs $100,000, if that's going to be the budget, then you should get at least $2,000. But for short films, you know, you get what you can get. It depends on the guy making the movie. Some guys are great and they'll pay you. Some guys are, you know, they're not going to pay you anything. I wouldn't take, you know, and it's also about the amount of work you did too. Like I can knock out a 5-page screenplay in an hour, no biggie. So if some guy throws me $50 or $100, I'm fine with that. If a guy says, oh, you know, do this 5-page screenplay, and then he sends it back for rewrite after rewrite after rewrite, and I have to do research, and I have to call people, and you know, and it takes me days. Well, then, yeah, no, $50, $100 isn't going to cut it. You know, you're going to have to pay me $1,000 if I got to do all this nonsense. So it's about how much work you put in. So you have to think of it that way. So if you only spend an hour writing a screenplay and you get $50, you're golden, right? But if you spend a week doing something, you better get close to $1,000 at least. So, and if you're talking about something spec you wrote on your own, you're trying to sell, then it's about, you know, how many screenplays do you want sitting around your filing cabinet before you finally just sell them to get some money. So, you know, you have to think a little bit like a businessman when you talk about selling a screenplay. And when you talk about feature-length film, well, that should be a big deal. So if the movie makers can't offer you real money, and they have to offer you some money up front, do not take zero, whatever you do. So you have to pay me. You have to pay me something. Then, you know, if you get locked in with a contract, and if they sell the distributing rights to the movie and they just sell the whole movie, which is likely, you get a chunk of that. But always take gross, never take net. If you ask for net, you're asking for nothing. Net means nothing. Net means, oh, you get money after we pay our expenses. Their expenses will be endless. They'll pay themselves to make whatever, and you'll get nothing. So ask for gross points. Always ask for gross. You know, the only exception would be if they give you, say, well, we'll pay you after the first $100,000, and we're going to sell this movie for $200,000. If you kind of know the numbers, well, then you could say, well, that's fine, right? I'll get a percentage of the $100,000 the producers make. Be a producer. That's an easy way. Be part of the production process, because producers make the money. Hollywood ate my baby. Elon should start a film studio. I hope that's coming. I don't see any signs of it yet. He's not really a movie guy. Louis, have you seen The Northman? Not yet. It came out last week, written and directed by Robert Eggers. He made The Lighthouse and The Witch. I really like The Witch. I did see The Witch. And I've been meaning to see The Lighthouse. Oh, and he did The Northman. That might be a movie worth seeing. Although every time I see a poster for it, it has no title on it. For some reason, I left it off. But yeah, it's a good movie. All right. Daredevil YouTuber crash plane as publicity stunt, FAA says. Ooh, that's not good. That is big trouble. You do not do that for YouTube video. Oh, yeah, that's like prison. That is prison time. Don't do stuff like that. Ticket check. See if you won the $400 million Powerball jackpot. That's another avenue, Louis. Win the Powerball jackpot for $400 million, and then you can make all the movies you want. Well, you can make 2 Marvel movies, or, you know, little movies. Make little movies. And by the way, speaking of Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, I reviewed the trailer for Good Morning, spelled with a U, and it stars Machine Gun Kelly. I didn't realize it was him when I was looking at the trailer. It doesn't look half bad. Looks like a stoner movie, so looks like it could be fun. Beloved Garlic Festival shutting down after 4 decades? No! This is in California. It's one of the few things California had. Oh, this is a nightmare. I hear this is amazing. I haven't been, but when I went to San Francisco, a friend of mine said, oh, you go to Frisco, get garlic fries. And I was like, garlic fries? What are you out of your mind? He's like, no, you got to get them. He says, this is what they serve at baseball games. They have fresh garlic out there. And the fresh garlic is way better, and you're going to love it. And I'm like, okay, I'll try it while I'm out there. I got the garlic fries. They were amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Fresh garlic, chopped up on your fries. It's fantastic. Oh, and the Garlic Festival is all about that. They make everything garlic. This is, I'm Italian, so obviously I very much enjoy garlic. Oh, that's terrible. I always wanted to go to the Garlic Festival. It's one of the few things left in California I wanted to do. That's terrible. Somebody has to pick up the baton. Somebody pick it up, damn it. How can they shut it down after 4 decades? Here's a funny headline. Suck it, vegans. U.S. is eating more meat than ever. Yeah. Tell you I am. Weirdly enough, I'm eating a lot of meat these days. Feel good. Feels good. Feels good to eat meat. All right. All right. Let's move on to the post-millennial. See if we got any headlines here. Washington lawmakers claim term marijuana is racist. Remove it from state laws. I don't even know how. Hollywood ate my baby. Garlic is amazing. Yes, it is. How the hell could it be racist? I don't get that one at all. I don't know. SJWs can make anything racist, apparently. Wikipedia deletes page for Hunter Biden's investment firm. Jesus, Wikipedia. Shameful much? God, you people are... Talk about suck it up to the Bidens. What the hell's wrong with you? Yeah, Wikipedia was always on shaky grounds in terms of a source. Like for TV shows and, like pop culture stuff, it's not bad. Even that you got to take with a grain of salt. Sometimes they get it wrong. I used it for trivia questions once for sports because I know nothing about sports and I got burned. So be careful. The Wikipedia, I wouldn't use it. Brian Stelter says it's too early to know if CNN Plus was a success or failure. I laughed at this one yesterday. It was just so damn funny. Too early. Oh, let's wait another 2 years, I guess, Brian, and see if CNN Plus is still a failure. What an absolute insanity that is. All right. Oh, I guess this is pretty much everybody's off on Sunday, so not a lot of good headlines. Hollywood ate my baby calls it Sneakopedia. Yes, it is. All right, let's wrap up at Breitbart. France votes Macron on the brink. Can Le Pen make history? I hope so. I don't know. Sticks and Hammer says no. Said it would be quite an upset. He's usually pretty good about this stuff. I hope Le Pen wins. Priest attacked during Sunday Mass as voters head to poll. I assume that's in France. EU agrees online censorship laws forcing big tech hate speech clampdown. It's not good. Also, another thing Sticks was talking about today. JEC says, I think the word marijuana was Spanish slang, so they started calling for it to be banned. Is it? Marijuana? I just never saw it that way. It's bizarre. Bizarre. Airlines offer refunds to passengers scared of maskless flyers. Oh, sure, you offer refunds to them, but I bet you didn't offer refunds the other way. I bet you didn't offer refunds from people like, I don't want to wear a mask. No, it was just like, well, F you, we're taking your money, I bet. Hollywood ate my baby. France might fortify the election. Oh, I don't think it'll be France. I think it'll be us. We messed with the French election before. That was exposed, I guess, during the Edward Snowden days or the WikiLeaks days. I forget. One of those people, organizations, exposed it. Yeah, we effed with the French election. I have no doubt we're still effing with it. And we can F with anybody's country's elections, I assume. I assume we could get anybody elected we want in other countries, except maybe Russia. Russia, China, a handful of others. But, I bet we got our hand in it big time. My theory is we're running the EU. That we pushed the EU because we wanted to control all of Europe more easily. So imagine the big brain strategy in Hollywood Ate My Baby. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. What was it? Not Macron, the other guy who had the affair. I can't think of his name. Sarkozy. Yeah, the word is we helped re-elect Sarkozy or elect Sarkozy. I forget. That's what I read. YouTube, calm your tits. Anyhow. So yeah, I assume, if you're sitting around the CIA overthrowing governments as they are wont to do, and then they get the idea, well, we got to get our allies on board with all these wars. How can we do that? Well, shouldn't we just influence their governments too? Why shouldn't we if we can? Right? So yeah, okay. And then, we spend a few decades doing that, and it's a big mess because it's like every freaking country is separate. And then this EU thing comes across your desk like, oh yeah, if we can get all the European countries all in one government, then all we'd have to do is manipulate one government. See how that works? How hard would it... right now, I guess the EU is controlled out of Brussels. I'm sure we could run Brussels in about 10 minutes with enough bribes and guys there. I'm sure we own those people. I'm positive we do. I'm positive. We have the money. Just the money alone. You could buy and sell politicians. So, have you heard about an election in Brussels or any of these guys? Nobody cares about these EU reps other than the people who suffer underneath them. The only time I heard about the EU reps is when Sargon and Dankula ran against them and got involved in politics, and the whole Brexit thing. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to learn that we've got a bunch of those guys under our control, and that we can control the EU, push them in certain ways. Now, not total control. It's not like a cabal. It's like a big mess of guys pushing people one way and the other, and there's probably some contradiction. I'm not suggesting there's a star chamber, but I'm suggesting we do it. We do try to do it, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it blows up in our faces and whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to learn. We were tapping the phone of Angela Merkel. That was exposed during the Obama administration by Edward Snowden. Hollywood Ate My Baby sounds about right. Yeah, it's not like a huge cabal. It's not like a conspiracy theory. Some of this stuff is totally provable and true. We bugged Angela Merkel's personal phone. Why would we do that? She's an ally. It's because we do that to everybody. And people do it to us. The Israelis are really good at telecom stuff, and they have access to that. Apparently, I think the Israelis run the telecom in DC for the White House and stuff. Is the Mossad involved? How could they not be? The Mossad are like the CIA, only super competent. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Israelis are listening to every conversation that happens in DC. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they have control of everybody, but it gives them an edge, gives them a heads up if things are happening, I'm sure. So, Is it fortified for Macron? Yeah, probably. But doesn't mean Le Pen can't win, because it's not 100%. Nothing's 100%. It could mean that, and plus, when you're fortifying an election, and I'm talking only about the French election, YouTube, the people who are doing it are incredibly dishonest people who will just take your money and not do what you told them, because it's a risk. If there's a risk to do illegal things in terms of voting in, say, France, talking about France, then you may just take the money and run with it, because what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Call the cops and said, hey, I paid this guy for an illegal thing and he didn't do it. No, you just take the money. That's what criminals do. They're opportunists. If I could take your money and not do anything, yeah, that's like ideal. It's perfect. If you can't do anything about it, who cares? I got your money. Yeah. I got to get rid of my phone and change my phone number. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. But, if you're talking to CIA, if they're actually doing this, there might be more consequences. You might find yourself in a very dangerous position. Let's wrap up here. Blinken, Austin to visit Ukraine as Mariupol evacuation stalls. Yeah, I think it's a dumb idea to go to Ukraine. I think we should just pull out of there. JEC, the French are a lost case. French Canadians too. Yeah, I mean, like Le Pen, as Sticks and Hammer says, is basically very left in terms of her monetary policy. So even if she got in, she might stop the immigration, but her socialist economic policies wouldn't exactly triumph. So the French are very stubborn. The French Canadians, yeah, I don't know if they're as a lost cause. They're a bunch of weirdos, that's for sure. I mean, forcing everybody to learn French and then not English, it's kind of an oddball thing. And then, like, my understanding is in Canadian society, like, all the good jobs go to people who could speak English too. And then, so you got basically poor French people stuck in Canada who can't get work outside of French Canada because they don't speak English because they were never taught it. It seems like a weird thing to do. And there's like a lot of French in Canada, like my friend described it as kind of French hillbillies, which is very odd to be, because French language, you always think, oh, very sophisticated, smoking cigarettes and having expensive coffees and pastries and talking about intellectualism. And then you think French hillbilly, like, it doesn't go together. But apparently there are. Ugh, losing my voice here. All right. Schweitzer. Joe Biden's at the center of Hunter's legal issue. Yeah, I think he's probably the only reason Hunter hasn't gone to jail. And that's about it. Spanish population growth in 2021 entirely due to immigration. Again, scary. Oh, wait, here's a Rob Reiner headline. Rob Reiner, if you're voting for Republicans, you're voting for autocracy. Well, and that's the opinion of Meathead from All in the Family, ladies and gentlemen. That was his character's name on All in the Family. Archie Bunker called him Meathead because he was a hippie, and he's still a hippie. Oh no, now he's like a hardcore leftist. I would say hippies are different from leftists. I would. All right, I got to save some headlines for a Hollywoke hot take. I don't know what I'm going to do. And now I've done the news blast here. What the hell am I going to do? I'm going to have to do a different kind of video for Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble. So I'm going to wrap it here. Any last questions before I go? Now is the time. Just check the rest of the headlines over at Breitbart. I'm not ending on Babylon Bee. I couldn't find any new headlines today at Babylon Bee. It was all old stuff. I guess they're taking Sunday off. They're very Christian over the Babylon Bee, so whatever. German court, deportations valid even if migrants face hardship at home. Yeah, see, it's all going to turn. They're going to be forced to turn it around and just stop the immigration. It's just too out of control. It's going to be the dystopian future we predicted in our movies in the 80s. JEC, do a screenwriting video for Louis. Oh, maybe I'll do that. Good suggestion, JEC. I'll do a screen. I have to think of something because I've done so many of them. You can look at all my screenwriting videos, Louie. Some of them are shot in my old camera, so they're not very good. But, technical wise, but the information's there. I have to think of a screenwriting video. All right. I have to think. So I have to get off the stream. That's it for me. Tony D and Little Joan, who bailed like 2 minutes in. Check me out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble. Hopefully YouTube won't flag this one. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thank you, Louie, JEC, Hollywood Ate My Baby. Oh, Hollywood Ate My Baby. Tony, I made a little documentary called The Beatles versus Repressive Tolerance, a journey through the George Floyd riots via the Fab Forbes hit song Revolution. I'll post a link under this video. Oh, neat. If you fancy a watch. Check it out. Everybody check that out. Hollywood Ate My Baby. He'll put it in the links below in the comments. All right. See you next time.